Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to you. My name is Nick and it's time for another Sunday vlog. Now, it's been a week of sport, most notably football. Today, being Sunday, I was a bit behind on the old schedule, so sorry for the Amiga video going up a little bit late. You might not even have noticed, but it was late due to unforeseen circumstances, and those unforeseen circumstances were England actually doing pretty good in the football. Yes, I know it's a little bit strange. Normally being an England supporter is all about racking up disappointment. You remember that song 30 Years of Hurt? Well, that can now be Argentina's song since they last won the World Cup. We're up to 50 years, but strange things are happening and England seem to have been got into the semi-final. Yes. Now, while all this has been going on, I've been trying to keep the channel up and running. We're doing an okay job, I think. The content is there. Over the last week or so, we started using reviewing games on a different system called the Atari 2600. A system that was first developed in 1977. I really like Atari. I like the brand Atari. There's been a bit of misconception with videos that have gone up. I'm a little bit wary about the Atari VCS, but it's a completely different thing. Completely. I love Atari, but the Atari I love is the company that produced the games back in the early 80s and even going up to the Atari Jaguar. But maybe we'll cover that in a different video, because Atari now are not Atari, they're Infogrames who actually bought the name. Are they doing a good service for the Atari name, keeping it up there, which I hope? I wanted it to keep at a really high level. Well, not really. But anyway, that's another thing. Football is going on. So, essentially, England were in the groups, and I thought we'd go through, but I thought it'd be tough going. We beat Tunisia, we absolutely pounded Panama, then lost to Belgium 1-0. And Belgium was seen as maybe the tournament favourites, or at least one of them. Then we got into the next round, and I think English people generally, they don't like to be over optimistic about it, and you do get a lot of pessimism about it. You get a lot of optimists, we get mainly pessimists in England. I don't think people generally like being happy, which is a bit of a strange thing, which often makes me think I want to live in California or somewhere where it's completely the other way. But anyway, people kept saying, oh, our group was a weak group, there was no one in there. And we did lose 1-0 to Belgium, where we put out our B team. But then there come that game against Colombia, tricky South Americans. And England did beat them. We was 1-0 up, and they scored right near the end. It went to a penalty shootout. And you always think England never win on penalties. They've never won a penalty up to then, shootout in the whole of the World Cup. And suddenly we had won the penalty shootout. And you start thinking, is things going to change here? Is things going to change? But there's still the pessimists out there on various sources saying we're going to get knocked out by Sweden. And then we play Sweden and we beat them convincingly 2-0. Our goalkeeper Pickford was actually outstanding with some amazing saves, which actually kept us there. And we've kept a clean slate as well, whatever that is. And so we've beaten Colombia, we've beaten Sweden. Now, all the time when this is going on, top teams have been dropping down the wayside. Germany are out, Portugal are out, Spain are out, Brazil are now out, knocked out by Belgium. It seems to be geared to me, because Belgium beat England 1-0 in the groups. It seems to be fated for England again to play Belgium in the final for match 2. Wouldn't that be a grandstand finale? Wouldn't that be brilliant? And you start thinking, can England actually win this? Now, it's England-Croatia in the semi-finals. If you're watching this from Croatia, well, we'll see what happens. But again, I'm a little bit conservative, but England haven't got to this stage for 28 years. So you start thinking, let's go. I mean, the last World Cup, we didn't get past the group stage. 2 losses and then a draw to Costa Rica. This seems completely and utterly different. Now, is it too early, or do we dare to believe that England can actually win? Now, the channel might go a bit behind schedule again if we start winning, because no doubt I would have had quite a bit of alcohol and I'd be quite drunk, because it's something I haven't really expected to see in my lifetime, England winning the final. But first of all, can we get to the final? So what do you think about that? Can England do it? It all seems to come through, well, I thought before, all come through one player, Kane, but other players are scoring goals now as well. So, you know, can it be done? Do you believe it? Can it be done? Can it be done? On the channel, I've been reviewing a few football games, because essentially when a big major event goes off, people are searching for those things on YouTube. So a few more football-orientated games went up more than usual, but it's a bit of a double-edged sword really, because more people, more channels are putting up football games. It's a wash with football games, saturated, so it sort of like balances out. So doing a football-related game doesn't really make too much difference because there's lots of other football games and it's hard to get noticed in there. But there we go. It's you got to keep it on topic though, and when it comes to Halloween, if we're still doing this at full time, we'll totally do a Halloween special, all that sort of stuff. It's all about planning forward. So yes, up against it. So World Cup, we've got Croatia, England, France and Belgium. So any one of those 4 teams can win. France did win the World Cup before. Belgium have never won it. England won back in '66 and Croatia have never won. Yeah, so some people are arguing England haven't actually played anyone yet. Well, you can only play who's put in front of you. And if we win the World Cup by playing nobody, which is not going to be the case because the other semi-final is France and Belgium, they're going to be pretty good. So you can only win what's there. I think we've already scored more goals, or the same amount of goals we did in 1966. So go England. I'm trying not to get too excited in case it doesn't happen, but it could happen. Now, another sporting thing I wanted to cover. If you've been watching this channel a while, you know when it comes to Formula 1, which I'm into, my beloved team is McLaren. As a few of you who watch this are as well. And it's been quite distressful over the last, well, it must be getting on for 5-6 years now, where McLaren have been slowly getting nearer and nearer the back of the grid and nowhere near winning, and even struggling to get into the third qualifying session each time to make the top 10 shootout. So it was said before that it's because of the Honda engines. We got rid of the Honda engines and McLaren was still poor. It seems like they had some sort of aerodynamics failure, and it's only the heroics of Alonso that's been managing to get the team any decent points, because that car is a lot worse than what Alonso is making it look. Now, so it's important that we keep him. Right, bearing in mind, it's important that we keep him. We won the Le Mans 24-hour rally this year, so his mind's already elsewhere. But anyway, the manager, Zak Brown of McLaren, said, can't believe this, it could be years before McLaren are competitive again. And then he went on to say it could be as long as a decade. 10 years? 10 years for McLaren to be better. They've recently restructured the team, and he said, we have to be honest with ourselves. 10 years? The aerodynamics can't be that poor. It's going to take 10 years to get that back. I can't wait 10 years. I mean, 10 years? I mean, there must be hemorrhaging money. Who's going to want to sponsor a team that's just said they're going to be at the back of the grid or nowhere near for 10 years? Hopefully that's just newspaper talk, and hopefully he didn't say that, but I think he did. But if the manager says that, that's a disaster. So what do you think about that? Is it going to actually take McLaren 10 years to start winning races, or will it be a lot quicker? I can't see Alonso staying after news like that. Very recently we were trying to get Daniel Ricciardo, but I think he's going to re-sign for Red Bull, might have done already. Boy, with news like that, tempting. I could go for you, but you won't be good for 10 years. Okay, well, that's all I have to say sporting-wise this time and channel-wise. So, we've just started doing Atari 2600. I don't know how popular that's going to be at the moment. A few of you have suggested other systems we might look at. I have to stay away from Nintendo, because if you do any modern-day games or even retro games, they will claim it as their own content because they're extremely greedy. Unless you become a bit of their partner program, and then they take a chunk of the profits anyway, and a chunk of the profits, which isn't very much, leaves you with zippity-doo-dah. That's that old phrase. Can England win the World Cup, or is it too early to say yet? I mean, semi-finals, first time in 28 years. And what do you think about McLaren? Let me know what you think about that, and probably do another video about Atari, a proper video donated to that a bit later on, because as I say, I've been getting a stick for that. I don't hate Atari. I'm extremely worried about where they are at the moment, especially with this Atari VCS thing. But it might all work out. It's like backing a horse that's 100 to 1. The race is still going on, so the horse might still win. It's risky. I wouldn't want to risk hundreds of dollars on it, but that's what a lot of people have done. And at the end of the day, all that's important is the backers. But I'm going into that video already now. So thank you for watching. Have a good week. Keep watching the content. Share it with people. If you know them, share it with people. If you don't know them, that doesn't even make sense. Until next time, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye. Goodbye.